Hi there, my name is Aaron Short. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm very happy to be joined by David Packouz. How are you doing today, David?
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you for having me, Aaron.
No, thank you so much. I've been a big fan of some of your products for a while, and I really would like to discuss them in detail with you. So thanks for joining me.
My pleasure.
That's awesome. I remember I ran into you at NAM. I was at NAM when you were setting up, but obviously you're
Yeah.
so busy then, and we didn't get to hang out. So it's so nice that we can sit now and chat. It's awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
For anyone that doesn't know you and Singular Sound, can we start with the question I ask all my guests? Where are you from originally, and what first got you into music?
Well, I was born in St. Louis, but only lived there for a few weeks when I was a baby, and moved to Israel, to Jerusalem. My family is Jewish, so we moved to Israel for my dad's work, and lived there until I was 8 years old, and then I came to Miami, Florida, and been living here since I was 8 years old.
That's awesome. So, what about
And
your mu?
and
Sorry,
what
go
got
ahead.
me into music?
Yeah, yeah.
Right, that was the second part of the question. So what my mother has always been super into music. She plays guitar. She's a singer songwriter. She's written songs. She's an excellent singer, and so music was always a big part of my life growing up. I was always a natural singer, so I got into music that way. And then when I was 15, I got into my teenage angst days. So I was listening to a lot of Nirvana and a lot of electric guitar stuff, and that got me inspired to play electric guitar. Uh, you know, so that's what got me into guitars and being a musician.
Yeah, me too, actually. I was really into Oasis and the 90s Britpop scene, and I just wanted to be in a
Yeah,
band like them. But where I'm
yeah,
kind of heading with this is that I feel like you must have done some solo shows. Obviously, the BeatBuddy is your
yeah.
best known product, and it's obviously geared towards solos and duos. So, have you had experience with playing the kind of one man band thing?
Yeah, actually, most of my performances have been a one-man band kind of thing. Because I'm a singer-songwriter, play rhythm guitar, sing. It's very difficult to get other bandmates, as I'm sure every musician knows. Other musicians who are interested in playing the music you play and can be on your schedule, and whose schedule is compatible with yours. And so it's always very difficult to put all that together. So I did most of my shows were always just me, maybe one other friend, either on the lead or something. But the hardest thing I always found to find as far as musical collaboration was a drummer, because drummers have a lot of equipment. It's difficult to move a drum set. So either they have a practice space which you can go to, or they don't, and in which case you're out of luck, or you have to rent a studio or something. It gets expensive and becomes a pain. So yeah, drummers were always hardest to find. So that's how I came up with the idea of the Beat Buddy. Couldn't find a drummer to play with. I wanted a drum machine that I could actually use live, that I didn't need to use my hands to change the beat while I was playing. So I thought that I needed a drum machine that was hands-free, that was like a drum machine and a guitar pedal, because I was already experienced with guitar pedals as a guitarist. So I thought, well, that's kind of an obvious idea, and I was sure that someone already made it. So I went online to look for it, and nobody made it. So I decided to make it myself.
I agree, and I came from the same place. So I played solo
Hmm.
shows purely acoustic. Then I moved to London. I
Hmm.
started using a little bit of looping, and I did use backing tracks occasionally. But backing tracks can kind of lock you in to one format,
Right.
right? And then recently, only a few years ago, I started looking for a drum machine that you could
Hmm.
operate with your foot, and I couldn't. I still think. I mean, I've got it right here. It's such a great idea to make it the pedal, because guitarists use
Hmm.
pedals, and I still don't think there's anything quite like this around now. So
Yeah. Thank you.
yeah, so I really think obviously this is what you're known for, and a lot of people have heard of this pedal, and I really think it's
Hmm.
great. I was just curious to know how you came up with the idea. So actually, every guest I've had on so far with their product has had a problem and then found a
Yeah.
solution, and that's where you came from. So that's really
Yeah.
great. Can you tell us more about the development? I mean, how do you One thing I like about your company is you're a small company. You're relatively small compared to some of the other ones, and
Sure.
you're making products here for people like me, solo performers.
Mhm.
Where it's some people might say it's a niche thing, although I think it's getting bigger now. We've got Ed Sheeran and people like that. But
Sure.
how do you even start to develop something like this? Can you give us a little bit of an insight into how you actually designed and made this without giving too much away?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, just to give you an idea where I was coming from, I actually did not have any experience developing products before I started developing the BeatBuddy. I've had quite a few businesses in the past. I've always been entrepreneurial, but I'd never developed a product from scratch, let alone a technology product like this. So I didn't know how to do it. So I was just Googling how to create a electronic product, and I saw that there were companies out there that and line drawing with little arrows and descriptions pointing to what every knob and button should do, and described how it should work. And I sent them this sketch and this description, probably to about like 10 companies, and got quotes, prices, estimates back, and they were all over the place. So, they were. The cheapest one was literally 10% the cost of the most expensive one. So it was a huge range. And I didn't really know who to go with, so made the classic, beginner mistake of going with the cheapest one, and turned out not to be too good. It wasted around 9 months of my time and a few $1,000s. It didn't really end up losing too much money on it, just a lot of time because I got most of the money back. But it was a pretty bad setback. So then I had to go back to my old quotes and look through it. And the second time around, I decided to go with the company that seemed to give the most detail of how they were going to develop the product. So they had, a 7-page proposal with like all the different segments of the mechanical engineering, the PCB engineering, the software engineering, all these different things, and how they broke it down to little sub steps, and their estimate of how much time they thought it was going to take for each step, and the type of engineer and expert they would need for that. So from their proposal, I could tell that they had a real plan, and they knew what they were talking about. So they weren't even the most expensive ones. They were like in the middle of the pack. So not even necessarily the most expensive ones, just the most detailed. And so I went with them, and they did a fantastic job. They built a prototype, but it was way too more money than I actually had at the time. So I didn't have the money at the time to develop this product. So I made a deal with them, it was very lucky for me that they were willing to do this, and I think they were willing to do it because their engineering firm, their lead engineer was a drummer. And he told me that as a drummer, all his guitarists and bassists and keyboardist friends, they're always asking to jam with him, but he has no time to jam with them anymore. So because he's too busy running this engineering firm. And so he said, oh, all my friends, they would love this product. So he knew right away that musicians would be attractive to musicians. So we made a deal that I would give him a very small upfront advance, which was pretty much all the money I had at the time saved up. And I would pay he would build me a working prototype. I would take that prototype and do a crowdfunding campaign. And and then pay him the rest of the money from the crowdfunding campaign that I owed him. But if I didn't make enough money, then they would do the manufacturing for me and take a cut of the manufacturing profits. So that was like the way they would, they would make like extra money for, kind of financing the deal, so to speak. So it was a very unique type of arrangement. I don't think it's very common at all for engineering firms to do that kind of thing. But I think that it just goes to show you that you shouldn't think that there are no possibilities. You know, people think that, oh, if I don't have the money, I can't do it. You know, there's a lot of creative ways you could get around the limitations of what you're trying to do.
Yeah, well, I mean, you used Kickstarter, right, to get the first ones made?
Yes, well, we did Indiegogo, which is, you know, the Kickstarter's competitor, and it went very, very well. The crowdfunding campaign raised $350,000, which was the record. It was the highest crowdfunding campaign for any musical accessory, and that was enough to pay off the engineers and get the first manufacturing run started. So that's how we launched. And that was the campaign was in early 2014, and we delivered in September 2014 the first Beat Buddies to the first users, and have been shipping ever since.
Well, to a product, and I'm sure many
Oh
products don't
yeah,
even make it, right? So, congrats. I mean,
yeah.
and the response was great, right? I mean, I heard about this. So before I even had one, I heard about it all the time. So it was well received, which is great.
Yeah, yeah. We won practically every major award in the musical products industry. So we won a NAMM Best in Show. We won Guitar Player Hall of Fame, Editor's Pick. You know, if, we won practically all the awards. So that went. You know, I mean, but of course the biggest, you know, which is a nice thing to brag about. But the most important thing is that we get, you know, amazing feedback from the people who actually use the Beat Buddy, the musicians, and they really love it. And we've sold quite a few of them. So that's the greatest success.
So I won't go over. If anyone watching doesn't know what the pedal does, I won't go over that. I'll leave you your link in the description so they can read about it. But basically, it's a drum machine. It's got different drum kits, different styles and rhythms. There's one big button which I love. You can attach a foot switch. One limitation I've run into is I'd like to have more buttons, but we'll get onto that because you're addressing that. But this has been out for a while. So how has this changed since the first one that came out? How have the software updates improved this over the years?
So one of the great things I should say about the Beat Buddy is that it's you could update the software on it. It's just like your phone. So periodically we release a new firmware update, and it's as simple as just downloading the files from our site and putting it on a SD card and just putting it in the Beat Buddy, powering it up, and it'll update the firmware. So we've made quite a lot of improvements. I think we are on firmware version 3.8 now. So, you know, starting from 1.0, you can see the progression over the years. We're almost at 4.0 now. And the most visible improvements that we've made are to the interface. So we've, you know, if you look at the most recent firmware, the parts that you really want to see from a standing position are bigger now, you know, like where you are in the, you know, like which song part you're in, whether it's doing a fill or a transition, you know, that text is much bigger now. So it's much easier to glance at. We've also added what we call the measure marker, which is, you know, works with the visual metronome on the screen. The metronome shows you where the beat is in the measure, which is very useful to keeping you in time. But the measure marker on the bottom is this like little darker square that shows you which measure you are in the drum loop. And so that's useful for people who have loops that are like for specific songs. You know, a lot of people like to play specific cover songs which have the beats, you know, pretty much written out like that. And so that helps people figure out when to transition from one part of, you know, from one song part to another. They could watch the measure marker moving across the screen. So it makes it much easier to like figure out when to change the beat. We're also currently working on what we're calling the autopilot function, which is where it will move for pre-recorded type of songs. It will move it'll transition from one song part to another automatically. So you don't even have to do it yourself, but it will maintain it. So it'll act kind of like a backing track. But the good thing about it is that it will still maintain the interactivity of the Beat Buddy. So you could tap the pedal to do a fill. You could pause, you know, with the foot switch. You could do accent hits. You could transition early to skip a long song part, or you could repeat that part, over again if you want to extend the solo. So it still gives you the dynamicism that, it makes the controlling the beat dynamic, like the BeatBuddy is now, but it gives you the advantage of a backing track of you don't have to think about it if you don't want to. So we're hoping to come out with that soon. We've been working on it for quite a while. And I know a lot of our BeatBuddy customers are, eagerly awaiting that feature. So, especially the people who do all the cover songs, so which is me, I play cover songs, like 98% of the songs I play are cover songs. So, it's something I want for myself as well. And we're getting really, really close to that. So if anyone is a BeatBuddy owner right now, make sure that you're signed up to our mailing list, and Aaron will put the link in the description. And we send out an email whenever we have a new firmware update to inform everybody. That's going to be exciting.
That's really great.
But we've just a few other things since you. I'm sorry,
no,
you got cut out. Did you say something?
Go ahead. Please go ahead.
Okay, a few other things just since you asked about the improvements that we've made over the years to the BeatBuddy. We've done a lot of things based on people's feedback. So, I speak to you, I speak to other people on the forums, on Facebook, on Instagram, all our platforms, YouTube, and we read all the comments. Everything that we see, of course, we take very seriously and take it into consideration. About it. So a lot of the improvements that have been made have come from suggestions and requests from the BeatBuddy community. We have a very active forum, as you've probably seen. On our website, we have a forum that everyone who owns a BeatBuddy or other products can discuss things, and they upload their own content, drum sets. You can get a lot of free stuff on our forum, as well as make requests and report bugs and stuff like that. So most of the improvements we've made have come from that. And one cool thing that I thought was neat that people suggested that we do, that we implemented, was MIDI note streaming. So you can plug in, and a lot of people don't even know this exists in the BeatBuddy, which is it's pretty cool. So it kind of makes the BeatBuddy do things that it wasn't designed to do, but is pretty neat. So you could use the BeatBuddy as a drum brain for your electronic drum kit. So if you have an electronic drum kit and you don't like the sounds that it makes, a lot of them have like really cheap, kind of thin sounds. Well, the BeatBuddy is known for very high sound quality. So you can connect the MIDI out from your drum kit to the MIDI in on the BeatBuddy, play the drum kit, and the BeatBuddy will play the high quality samples. And you could change the drum set on the BeatBuddy, and then you're playing a different drum set on your drum kit. So it's like it could act as a drum brain for a drum set. Now, this was not built for drummers, originally, but a lot of people play multiple instruments, so that's cool. So that was one cool feature that we built in just because people requested it. Another cool thing that we built in that a lot of people seem to enjoy is the sobriety function, where you could actually turn the BeatBuddy and decide how drunk you want your drummer to sound. And so you could have him like as if he just played as if he just had one beer, where he just like shifts by 1 or 2 BPM, a little bit, which a lot of people actually like to practice with because it makes it more realistic. Most human drummers, I would say all human drummers, shift a little bit in the speed and the tempo. So it gives you that sense of actually, wait a second, listen to the beat, adjust your playing to the beat. Don't, think that everything's rock solid, because that's how real life is. So some music teachers asked me to implement like a little bit of variation, and that's where the idea of the sobriety function came from, because we were like, well, if we're going to implement a little bit of variation, we could implement a lot. So you can dial up how many beers BeatBuddy had to drink, and then as he gets more and more drunk, the playing gets more all over the place. So it's fun.
I have to. Some drummers play better when they've had a few beers, I find.
That's true. Well, I guess we modeled it on the average drummer.
I think some people call that humanize, right? And you call it sobriety, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Some Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
I was actually
I'd like
I was reading about that the other day. Someone said because I believe in practicing with a metronome. Again, from playing acoustic solo all the time, you can start to get sloppy. So I did a whole
mm,
series on practice with a metronome. I reviewed the Soundbrenner. I said anything you can use to
oh, the pulse,
yeah
yes.
anything you can use to improve timing is very important. And backing tracks and drum machines and things and the Beat Buddy will help with that. But I
Mhm.
did read an article where someone was saying it can also be dangerous because you're practicing with a robot essentially. So that's good to know you
Right.
have that feature. And it's good to know that you listen to customers and directly implement their ideas into the product. That's really cool. That's a great thing about modern times, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's good for us. We do it because it's not only good for our customers, but it's good for us because, especially when you're designing a product, the tendency is to just kind of like go into your own hole and like think, oh, wouldn't this and this and this and this be great? And then, you dream of all these cool things or that you think are cool, and then you show it to, people who will actually be using the product, and they'll be like, I don't need that or that or that. What I need is this.
Mm.
And then you're like, oh, why didn't I think of that? Like one of the best examples I can give for this is when I designed the Beat Buddy. Um, One of the first people who used it was my good friend Fernando Perdomo, and he's done a lot of our videos, a lot of our demo videos. He's a pretty well known musician out in LA, and he was using it, and he's like, "Man, I need a way to pause this thing." And unpause it. We hadn't thought of the external foot switch. You're able to pause and unpause the beat. I didn't think of that feature. It's such a basic thing to be able to pause and unpause the beat to do like a drum break. But I didn't think of it at all until he started playing with it, and he's like, "Oh, what about that?" And then I'm like, "Oh, of course." And I'm like, it's a good thing we put in the foot switch port, so we're able to expand the functions with at least two other buttons. And so we built that in right after he tried it out. And so it's like some things that are just the most obvious things, you don't even like see it until someone else tries it.
Mm. Yeah, I think the two button foot switch is important. I think the more buttons, the more control I have, the better. Because again, I'm a solo
Yeah,
performer, but I think me and some others, we want it to add to the performance. We don't want to get lost
yeah,
in. I mean, I have the Voice Live 3. I also love TC Helicon because they also cater to people like
yeah,
me. But that
yeah,
thing it does a lot, which is great, but it can also sometimes I can get lost in it. So it's a fine
sure.
line, and I like that the Beat Buddy is customizable, so you can set up how you want it to be. I think that's important.
Yeah.
Let's just go to the chat and say hi to Patsy Smith, David, Sonia. Sonia has a Beat Buddy. Jamie Whitman
Oh,
from
nice.
Canada.
Hi, Sonia.
Um, Jason Carter from Germany. Very cool. We we
Cool. Nice. Thank you guys for
we are
watching.
worldwide today. Now,
Awesome.
a point I'll just raise quickly. David said to me just the other day that some people in the forums are adding bass lines to beats. Is that something that you're aware
Yeah.
of or you support, or is that just something users have discovered they can do?
So what people are doing in the forums, and it's amazing. It's really awesome to see, the forum, all the creativity and the work that people put in, and then share it with the whole community. So we love that. We love that people put so much work into making content for the Beat Buddy, even if it's not the way we designed it. So what they're doing over there is they're pretty much making backing tracks for the Beat Buddy, and it's like what they call it is a one press play, right? Or one press bass. They have a whole series of acronyms, and it's a deep rabbit hole. Once you go down there, there's thousands and thousands of songs, which is really cool. And what they're doing is you press the Beat Buddy once, and it plays the whole song through. Some of them just have the drums, some of them have the drums and bass, some of them have other instruments. You'll need like specific drum sets to go along with those songs, because the drum sets are what have the sound samples. The songs are just MIDI notes. They're like musical notes. So the MIDI notes are triggering the sound samples. So you'll need both of those. You'll need the song and the drum set to go along with it, but they usually post them at the same, in the same post. So they'll tell you which drum set to use with a link. So we love that, and we are aware of it. We know that people use the Beat Buddy in this way. We don't we've never made any of that type of content ourselves because we've always seen the BeatBuddy as a interactive tool. We figured, if you're going to make a backing track, why don't you just play a backing track on your
Right.
phone? I don't really completely understand why people go through all the effort to make these backing track type songs for the BeatBuddy. Some people will say that they don't want to have their phone on stage, which I understand. The BeatBuddy is a tough metal encased pedal. It's made for a live performance. People don't like fiddling with their phones. So, I understand that. But our response to that is the feature that I talked about earlier is we're building this autopilot feature, which combines the best of both worlds. You'll have the backing track functionality because it'll play the song all the way through, going from one song part to another, but it won't be one unbroken file. It won't be one song part that's super long. It'll still be separated into each individual part, and that will give you the ability to interact with it and still throw in drum fills and pause, and you could extend that song part to make it longer, to make the solo part longer, or skip a part if you want to shorten it. So that'll give you the dynamicism, the interactivity of the BeatBuddy, while also accomplishing what people are doing with those one press bass and those one press play songs, which is more of a backing track functionality. So that's what we've been focusing on. We know that that's how people use the BeatBuddy, but we don't want to give up the functions that made the BeatBuddy so cool. And so what people really love about it is that it's kind of like an instrument. You play it, you can make it different every time. It's not just a recording. So we want to maintain those functions while also giving the advantages and the ease of use of a backing track. And that's what we're going to be coming out with very soon.
Well, my friend Chris from Peterson Tuners was on the other day, and he's a bass player, and he has an acoustic player. He plays bass, and he used to play drums. So he just bought a BeatBuddy so he can play the drums in that outfit. So it's like a 3-piece band. So that's
cool.
An amazing use for it. As a solo performer, sometimes I'm trying to get the right sound of having like a percussive sound because I haven't got a bass player. So any way you can start to add the bass in and do full arrangements on the fly, for me is exciting because that's kind of where I want to be. I want to sound bigger than I am, but I still have control over it. So anything you can do to help that is a great thing. That sounds exciting. I didn't know about that. Thank you for sharing that. So
yeah, sure.
So the BeatBuddy was released several years ago. It's gone through a lot of firmware updates. It's in a really good place now. I also have the additional, if anyone's getting one, check out the additional memory card because it has lots of songs and things on there as well. Lots of extra content, which I love. But what seemed to happen recently is that you seem to release lots of new products all at once.
Yes.
And I'm wondering the thought process, Mike, because you went from kind of one product to a lot of products. Was there a reason for that? And can you can we start with the looper, which I really love, the Eros looper?
Yeah.
So brilliant design. I love the volume control. I love the touchscreen. I love that you can update it from the thing. It's very futuristic and it's a great form factor.
Thank you.
Now you've just released a beta firmware, which I actually have on here, which is addressed, because I felt like when it came out, it was really for the BeatBuddy and it works great like that. But now the new firmware has made it a great looper in its own right, which is really cool.
Right.
But I'm just curious, what was your thought process behind releasing that and the MIDI Maestro and those products? Are they designed to work to complement the BeatBuddy, or are they products in their own right? What's the thought there?
So they're both. Well, first of all, we didn't really intend to release them all at the same time. It just kind of happened that way. With product development, you have a lot of unexpected things that pop up with engineering because you don't know what you don't know. And, you think that one thing is going to take you X amount of time and it takes you 3 times that amount of time. And, or there's some things that you thought would be easy turn out to be hard or impossible. And then you have to build around it and figure out a different solution to solve that. So there's always unexpected things that pop up in product developments. And we thought we'd come out with the MIDI Maestro like years ago, literally like 2-3 years ago. And it was just delay after delay. We had, our original team decided that they didn't want to finish it. We had to scrap their design and find a new team. And, it was just like, one thing after another. I mean, I don't even want to think about it. I'll get stressed out. So, so the original idea of the MIDI Maestro, which was a MIDI foot controller. It has 6 buttons. I don't know if you have one there, but
I don't have one, but I do use like the HX Stomp, and I used to have like I used
okay.
to have similar MIDI controllers, and I know there's a big market. I'm also in a MIDI group on Facebook. I know there's a big market now for MIDI controllers that are easy to use and work with different devices. That's why I'm kind of interested. And also, I assume that
Right.
you can control the BeatBuddy and the Eros in more detail with it, which is why I'm kind of curious about that.
Yes.
But
Yes.
yeah, continue.
So
Sorry.
yeah, so currently you can control the Beat Buddy with it, and it gives you a whole bunch of new capabilities. As you said, it's kind of like a fine line of having enough buttons and too much buttons. And the MIDI Maestro gives you 6 more buttons, each with their own like screen above it, and it allows you to do a lot more things with the Beat Buddy. And like for example, right now with the Beat Buddy, because it's a single pedal, if you have more than one song part, you have to go from part 1 to 2 to 3 back to 1, right? So you have to do it linearly. With the MIDI Maestro, you can go from 1 to 3 back to 2, so you can go in any order. You're also able to adjust the tempo on the fly with the MIDI Maestro, so you can adjust the tempo like up BPM or down BPM, 1 beat per minute. So you can like tap, to speed it up a little, slow it down. You're also able to control the beat with an expression pedal, so you could like speed the beat up and then slow it down with the expression pedal, and that's super cool. It also gives you additional accent hits. So right now, most of the accent hits on the Beat Buddy are just a cymbal crash. If you want to add like an additional beat with the external foot switch. So with the MIDI Maestro, you have 5 additional sounds. You can do a kick drum, a snare, a clap, a tambourine. So you have a lot more percussive options when you're playing. And it does many other things. You're able to navigate the songs and the folders hands free. You could scroll through songs, so you don't have to bend down, and it's fully customizable with the app. Now the app we just released it on Android, and we're still improving it. It's basically it's functional from a basic perspective, but we're going to be building up a lot more capabilities into it. And the iOS version is still a few weeks out. We were, as there's so many unexpected things. We thought that we'd have the iOS version out by now, but our developer had to quit because of the COVID-19 situation. So that has just messed everything up. I mean, he had a family issue and he wasn't able to work on the projects, and now we were looking for a new developer. We finally found a new developer. He's taken over the iOS version of the app. So the MIDI Maestro is like almost there. Yeah, it worked perfectly with the Beat Buddy. It has a Beat Buddy mode built in. It also has an Eros mode built in, but we do need to do another firmware update on the Eros side for it to be fully functional with the Eros, and that will give you a lot more functionality with the Eros as well. With the app, you could make the MIDI Maestro function with any product. It doesn't have to be our product, so you could control any, the Voice Live 3, anything that uses standard MIDI codes. You're able to program the MIDI Maestro to do different functions with it.
So I'm just that sounds exactly what I'm missing, because again, the one
Yeah.
button, you're right. If you want to go to part 3, you have to go through the parts. So with the MIDI Maestro, you can go straight to part 3.
Yeah.
Can you also set it up to work with the looper and the Beat Buddy like simultaneously? Can you set up basically how you
Yes.
want to have the buttons that you want?
Yes.
That's really cool.
So that's the great thing about the MIDI Maestro is with the app, you're able to customize everything. You're able to send out multiple commands from a single button press on different channels. So you could send, one command to the Beat Buddy, one command to your Voice Live 3, one command to the looper. all on different channels. So you're able to control multiple products all at the same time, all from the MIDI Maestro.
That's really great. And you can also name them too, right? There's like a little
Yes,
screen.
exactly. Each one has a screen. Actually, hang on. I
Yeah,
have
can you
one.
grab one? Show us what
Yeah,
we're
I'm gonna
talking
grab
about.
one just so people see what we're talking about. Hang on a second.
And I'll ask David about that artwork behind him as well, because that does look very interesting. Yeah, that sounds really useful because like I said, the BeatBuddy is one button, possibly three if you have the 2-button foot switch. But with the MIDI Maestro, you can have all those extra buttons and program them how you want them to be. They're asking about the artwork behind you. Did you make that?
I'm sorry? Oh, this
Yeah.
artwork? Yeah, this is my masterpiece. Here, I'll show you
I'll put you
guys.
full
I'll give
screen.
you guys a better look. So this is
Wow.
pretty
That's
huge. It's
awesome.
pretty huge. And you could tell I'm a big Pink Floyd fan
Yeah.
from the Dark Side of the Moon reference right there, And if you come in close, you'll see, I mean, this is all made out of CDs. So when you see, it's got like my entire CD collection here up on the wall because when I moved into my apartment, I realized that I don't even own a CD player anymore. So what am I going to do with all the CDs that I spent so much money to buy?
Right.
And of course, nobody's going to buy it. So nobody's going to buy your CDs these days. So I decided to make this artwork out of it.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
Very cool.
Took quite a while to make.
Is that your office that you're in now?
I'm sorry?
Are you in the office now, the Singular Sound office?
Oh no, this is my apartment.
Oh wow, that's at home. That's awesome.
Just at home.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
How many people work at Singular
Yes,
Sound?
this is my place. Yeah.
How many people work at the company? I'm just curious.
Right now, I'm sorry. What did
How
you
many
say?
employees do you have?
We have 12.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah, yeah. We've got of those 12, 6 are engineers. So, and we just hired 4 of them recently. So, we recently expanded our engineering team by a lot because we were just tired of coming out with software updates so slowly and having all our customers yell at us. So we're like, okay, we need to find a whole bunch of more engineers to speed this thing up. And I think we're finally starting to make some progress on that.
I think we live in a time where you can release a product and then work on the firmware after the fact. And I think that's fine as long as you do the updates and listen to the customers. And I feel like you are, because that's just the way things are now. There's good and bad to that, right? Obviously, but I think it's a good thing. And I think can we see the MIDI Maestro?
Yeah, I'm just plugging it in right now. And here we go. Hopefully you can't see how dusty I've made it. Oh, there we go. I'll clean it off a little.
I like the foot switches too because they're comfortable. A lot of people don't think about that stuff.
Yeah, that's because we noticed that most in here. So this is the MIDI Maestro. I don't know if you can read the screens very well through Skype, but these are the comfortable foot switches for your bare feet, because we see on YouTube that most people who post videos, they're always in their socks.
Yeah, can I just say, if you post videos on YouTube, please wear socks and shoes. Thank you.
Exactly. No shoes required.
Oh yeah, just socks will do. Yeah.
So we don't see your feet. just please wear socks.
I have to wear shoes as well because my feet are that bad.
What'd you say?
I have to wear shoes as well because I got big ugly feet even in socks.
Oh, even in socks. Oh well, I think the socks will usually do good enough of a job. So so if you could see on the MIDI Maestro, it's got on the back these MIDI ports, and you could use them to connect to the BeatBuddy. Right. And this is the BeatBuddy mode. You could switch to the different modes with this button, to go from like the BeatBuddy mode, Eros mode, custom mode that you program yourself with the app. Okay. So in the BeatBuddy mode, it starts off, I don't know how well you could see, but you see over here, that'll start the BeatBuddy. So right now you're in the beginning. So this will give you scroll up, scroll down, to go through like the folders and the songs right there, enter, exit folder. on tap tempo. So that's like when you're deciding to pick your song, you can like scroll up, enter exit folder, you pick your song, you tap the pedal on the BeatBuddy to select the song, you could tap the tempo, and whenever you're ready, you could just press the start button. And when you press the start button, now you see all the functions on the screens change.
Oh, great.
So now you've got right here, you can go to previous part. So you can just go to the last part, let's say you're in part 2, you can go, out of 3, you can go back to part 1. This is next part. So you could just go, that's just like, like doing the regular transition on the BeatBuddy. But over here, you can have part select. So if you tap that, now you see you have part 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now you can go to any one of 5 parts in any order. And the cool thing about this is that if you hold down that foot switch, and you keep on holding it down, it'll continue the transition just like as if you're holding it on the pedal. So you're able to have that function as well. Let's see, it's kind of hard to see it through my thing, but here's the exit. And you've got over here the accent hits, where you've got your hi-hat closed, snare, kick, clap, and tambourine. So you're able to like trigger all these sounds on the BeatBuddy by tapping these foot switches. Now, of course, that will depend on which drum set you have dialed into the BeatBuddy. It'll trigger that instrument on that drum set that you have selected on the BeatBuddy. So if you have an electronic drum set, it'll be an electronic kick. If you have an acoustic drum set, it'll be an acoustic kick, because it's triggering that sound in the drum set on the BeatBuddy, all these accent
I'm
hits.
actually wondering if I could make my own drum beat on the looper with that. Record a loop and then record my guitar and then record a track and play my own kick and snare over it, my own pattern. Could I do that? I guess I could, right?
Well, you mean with this?
Yeah, with the individual hits. Just do like a kick drum.
Oh yeah,
a 4 to the floor, bump, 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 and then
yeah. I mean, you could. It'll trigger the sounds in the beat when you play this. Yeah.
That's amazing. That really opens up. That takes this from like a 1, 2, or 3 button pedal to a huge performance tool. That's really pretty incredible. Actually, I like that. Now,
and one other cool function that it has built in is right here. It's got like a tempo option. So if you tap that, you go into the tempo screen. And so over here, you see you can do up 1 BPM, down 1 BPM.
Halftime.
And you have halftime, double time, and tap tempo. So you could do that while you're playing. While the beat is playing, you could tap the tempo if you want to change it. Wow. But the halftime and double time are super cool. So if you do like halftime, you see then it'll shift to normal time. It's a toggle. So it goes between halftime, normal time, and over here it's double time. And I don't know how there we go.
Yeah, that adds a ton of functionality to that thing.
Yeah.
I just got some wireless Bluetooth adapters that people are talking about on Facebook, and Alex in here runs the Mad MIDI Scientist Facebook on there. They would love something like this. And what I'd love to do is use an app like OnSong. So I choose the song and it loads that style in the BeatBuddy, and I've got all those controls on the MIDI Maestro. That would be so powerful for a solo performance. It'd be amazing. So you can do all that stuff. MIDI is very powerful, and I'm glad you've done that. Now, how easy? I do have to ask. I'm also in the Helix group. I have an HX Stomp. How easy is it to make that work with HX Stomp? Do I need to wait for you to make like a template, or can I just program it right now myself if I have the app?
You could program it all yourself. In fact, we've just enabled in the app what we call a command sharing and what do you call it? Not profile. A mode sharing, command and mode sharing. So you could go into the app, and here I'll pull up the app just so you see it.
Please. I haven't seen this yet. Awesome.
Yeah. And it's I will make the caveat, that the app is improving very quickly. Right now, we have a few developers who are focused only on the app, and we're coming out with updates like every few days.
Good.
So it's going to be improving quite a bit very quickly. But it's already functional. Let me hold on one second. Where did my app go? Here it is. Okay. So here's the app. This is on Android. As I said, iOS isn't out yet. And as you see at the top there, it's my first configuration.
Yep.
You could name your, entire mode that you put on there. It's the custom mode, right? And you see over here, it's got the blue. You see represents the upper left. This is the upper middle, the upper right. So that's what these buttons do. And each one, you see, it says that's what it will say, on the screen itself. And you could change that. You just tap that, and here you go into edit. So over here, you're able to change what the top line and the bottom line say on the screen. So you could label it, so you see what oh crap, I just touched the wrong thing. So you're able to change what the top line and bottom line say. You don't have to have anything, but you could put anything you want just so you know what you're pressing. And down here, you can add all these different functions. So you can add more than one function. See right here, I just have the pause, unpause BeatBuddy function. If I go into that, I could do, let's see, customize. Oh, wait.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Really cool.
There we go. I'm editing a command.
Yep.
And this, you go into the actual MIDI code. So right here, I label it, device BeatBuddy. This is the name of the command, pause, unpause. This is the channel, right, that the BeatBuddy is on. So you can have multiple devices controlled at once, all set to different channels. And, so BeatBuddy is set to channel 1. So I have it on channel 1. This is command 111, right? That's the CC command, and the value. So that's how, MIDI commands, they work with most MIDI commands. There's different types of MIDI commands, but there's the way the BeatBuddy mostly works is with what they call CC MIDI commands, or command control. Right, so you have 0 through 127 CC commands available, and the value for each command. So, for example, with the BeatBuddy, it's programmed that CC 111. With any value, we'll just toggle pause, unpause. So the value could be anything. It doesn't really matter. Some things do matter which value you have. Like some will be like, value 1 is pause and value 2 is unpause. So there's different ways that different devices use CC codes to map out their functionality. And each device is unique. So your HX Stomp will use certain CC codes to control certain functions, and the Voice Live 3 will use different ones. The CC codes themselves don't really matter. It's what the device interprets it to do when it receives that code. So, usually what you'd have to, if you want to do this all yourself, you'd have to go into the manual of HX Stomp, of Voice Live 3, and look down a long list of like what the CC code is, and then you could find that code, and then you could program it in the app and save it. So you could do that. But the cool thing about the MIDI Maestro is that because we enabled command sharing, now you could share that command so that anyone who wants to program something for the BeatBuddy now could just go, okay, let me see, what are the list of BeatBuddy commands that people have already put into the app? So they don't have to look through the manual. They could just go, oh, okay, I want this command. Someone already put it in, so it's kind of crowdsourcing the MIDI controls. And so that's something we just implemented. So I wouldn't, I would say that there's probably not a whole lot there yet, but we've got quite a few early adopters, so they're going to start filling this out. And so there's going to be a lot of stuff that you could just plug and play. You don't even need to like research it in a manual. It's going to take the pain and the setup annoyance out of setting MIDI devices up. So that's the whole idea of the app, is kind of crowdsource this.
That's good that you're doing that, but I don't think it's that hard to program yourself.
No, it's not.
fine.
But people don't want to,
Right.
people
They
don't
want plug
want
and they want plug and play. But I just had this scenario in my head, and tell me if I could do this. The Eros Looper, which I love for the form factor, the small BeatBuddy, the MIDI
Mm-hmm.
Maestro, and the HX Stomp, all very small
Mm-hmm.
compact pedals on a small solo singer board, right? Forget the vocal stuff for now, just for my guitar and drums and everything. And then I could have the MIDI Maestro to control the BeatBuddy, obviously, or the looper, whatever I want to do with it. But also, the
Mm-hmm.
HX Stomp only has 3 buttons and a 2-button foot switch. There's always a couple of buttons missing, like for the tap or something. Well, the tap could be MIDI clock
Mm-hmm.
anyway. But say I
Sure.
need a button for my delay to turn on, I could put that on the MIDI Maestro, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
As long as it's supported in the HX Stomp, then yes.
HX Stomp, I think they use MIDI Learn, but I'm sure everything has a CC command. And Alec will correct me
Yeah.
if I'm wrong. He's in the room right now. But that could be an amazing, because then you can
Mm-hmm.
basically make it work however you want it to. You can completely
Yes,
customize the
exactly.
whole experience. That's really, I can see now why
Yeah,
you have,
that's the idea.
I can see now why you have the BeatBuddy and the looper and the controller for everything and other stuff too. That makes a
Yeah,
lot of sense. And that sounds really
exactly.
powerful.
Yeah, that was the whole idea. To go back to your original question, why we suddenly came out with all these products. Um, when we first came out with the Beat Buddy, one of the first things people asked us was, "Give me more buttons. I want to do more things." And just like you said, like there's only so much you can do with a single pedal, and there's only so much you could do even with the extension 2-button foot switch. Sometimes you need 6 buttons and more. And
Yeah.
that's why we decided to build the MIDI Maestro, because we wanted to give people as much flexibility to customize how they play, because to some people different things matter. Some people will only use the tempo control, some people only use the accent hits, some people will only use the song part
Right.
controls. So
Right.
everyone has, so you can have your tempo controls, your song part controls, your accent hits, your song navigation, all with just 6 buttons, because the functions of the buttons change. And that's, even though, yes, it's 6 buttons, but you're actually getting like 24 buttons worth of commands all packed into here.
Can you have multiple screens? Can you move
Multiple what?
multiple screens? So can you like page up and go to another screen, another set of screen of buttons? Can you
Oh
do
yeah,
that?
well, that's what this does. I mean, here, like for example, like when I showed you, like right here. So right now, these are the all the controls, right?
Hmm.
So you have, whenever we put like a little arrow,
Hmm.
that means it changes all the screens. So
Okay.
you've got like select part. When I press select part, all the screens change, and now you have all the different song parts displayed. You can exit that right here, and now it goes back to the previous thing. Same thing
Yeah.
with the tempo. So you have the tempo with the arrows, and if I press the tempo, now you have the up and down 1 BPM, half time and double time, and tap tempo, and here's the exit button again to go back to the
Right.
previous one.
Right.
So that's how we were able to get all those functions into something this small
Yeah.
with just 6 buttons, even though, I mean, it's like 24 different commands that we're all putting in there.
I love the modular approach because
Yeah.
a user can have the beat buddy, the looper, and that, and they can then choose which guitar platform they use and just
Yeah.
bring it in. It's modular. It's not like buying one pedal that claims to do everything and there's
Yeah.
one thing you don't like about it. You can like
Right.
arrange the system yourself. That's really exciting. I love that.
Exactly.
Let me just go to
That
the
is our philosophy. We've been going for
yeah.
the modular approach because we know that there's so many different ways of playing, and everyone has a very strong opinion,
Mm.
and we've heard them all. And we want to make everyone as happy as possible. That's our goal, is to make as many customers of ours as happy as possible. So we want to give them as much flexibility to modify and customize things to their own style. And that's why we've created the MIDI Maestro with the app. That's why we have the Eros Looper with the firmware updates and the screen display. So we're able to modify a lot of different functions of how it works, with the settings. And on the BeatBuddy too, we have many different setting options to customize the functions of the foot switch and different things of that sort. We try to satisfy as many people as possible. Some people would say, we try to satisfy too many people, because then the settings list gets enormous, and some people get like intimidated. They're like, I have too many options, that sometimes that's a bad thing, having too many options, because then people don't know what to choose. But that's it's a balancing act. We try to make it as powerful as possible, but yet keep it as easy to use as possible. I'm always thinking about how to make it as simple for the musician, because I'm a musician, and I know when I'm playing out, when I'm doing a show, if I'm playing music, I don't want to focus on my gear. I want to focus on my music. I want to think about playing good music. And so the gear has to be as simple as possible, so I don't have to think about it. I just want to press a button,
I totally agree. Totally.
Yeah, and that's always the balancing act that we're playing with.
That's actually how what I was saying at the beginning of our chat, wasn't it? The gear for the solo thing or anything should support the musician, support the music, and not get in the way of the performance. I remember last week I went live and I couldn't find the exit button on my Voice Live 3, and I was panicking in my mind. Like everything should be laid out how you want it, and it's great. And MIDI's been around for so many years. But I've only just started getting into it through Alec and people like that on Facebook. It's so powerful. It's such a powerful tool. And if you just spend a little bit of time with it, you can customize. That's the word. You can customize it for you. And that's an awesome thing. Because there's no way you can make a pedal and say, well, Aaron wants this button to do this and this button to do that. It's great for that. All right. So I think that's really exciting. And I look forward to hearing about I look forward to that because I use iPhones. I'm looking forward to seeing that iOS app come out. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Hopefully soon. We're working as fast as we can to get it out.
No, that's great.
Yeah.
We're going to wrap up soon. So if you've got any final questions, please put them in the chat for me. Again, I'll have all the links and everything in the description later on, so you can read up on, which we didn't mention. Do you want to just tell us what the BeatBuddy Mini is?
So the BeatBuddy Mini, hang on one second. I'll grab one just so we could hold it up so everyone can see. So I've actually got the retail box here, the BeatBuddy Mini. This is actually the BeatBuddy Mini 1. We've came out a little bit ago with the BeatBuddy Mini 2, which the main difference is got our more comfortable foot switch, just like we have on the Maestro. And it has more content on it. So the difference between the BeatBuddy Mini and the regular BeatBuddy is that the Mini is, well, it's half the price of the regular BeatBuddy. That's, I would say, the main advantage. The Mini is the Mini 2 anyway has all the content that the BeatBuddy comes with, but you can't put more content on it. So the Mini, it doesn't have the SD card slot in the back. So what the content that comes with it is the content you get. So you can't customize song lists like on the BeatBuddy. You can't add additional drum sets, download songs from the forum or from the premium library content that we also sell. You can't put any of that on the Mini. The Mini also doesn't have MIDI connectivity, so you can't connect it to the MIDI Maestro or to the looper, to the Eros looper. The Mini is mainly intended for students, for beginners, people who just want something inexpensive and super simple, just need a beat to jam with, something that's way better than a metronome, a lot more fun, but they don't need all that, all the additional capabilities of the BeatBuddy. One other limitation of the Mini is that it's 16-bit mono sound. So it only has one output, so it's only got one channel. So it's 16-bit mono sound. The BeatBuddy is 24-bit stereo sound. So if you're a performing musician, for sure you use the BeatBuddy because you want to sound as good as possible. If you're a student who's just practicing at home and you want something better than a metronome, then the Mini is perfect for you. You don't really need to have the highest quality sound or all the customizability of downloading more songs and stuff like that, or arranging your own set lists if you're just using it to practice at home. So that's the Mini. So did we get to a question?
We did. I actually tried the Mini first, and as soon as I realized I needed that extra stuff for the reasons we're talking about, I got the full version instead. And I think I told Jack to get the full version, but he got the Mini too. Anyway, let me see what his question is. He said, Is there a way to disable the intros on the Mini 2? There's not, is there? Is it in the menu?
Yes,
Oh,
there
there is.
is.
Okay.
On the Mini 2, if you hold down the knob, there's here, one second, let me show you again. I actually don't have the Mini 2. Do I have the Mini 2 here? Hang on one second.
Okay.
Let me see if I could actually show you how to do
please.
it. Just give me one second.
Please, I'll go on. I'll go on. And if anyone's wondering about my eye, I'm not sick, but I seem to have a red eye today. Hi, Jared Smythe. How you doing, my friend? Good to see you here. And hi, Tone.
So I actually don't have a Mini 2 at home right
but
now.
it is possible, right?
But here, this knob right here, that you see this knob usually. Here, I'll plug it in. So this is the Mini 1. So I don't think you could actually do it with this one. Oh wait, you could. Huh, look at that. Yeah, this was one of the later models. Okay, so here, I'll show you exactly how to do it. So you've got this knob right here. Usually, it controls the genre, the song. If you just tap it once, it goes to the different controls. So this will control the song. You see, it's the different hip hop songs. This controls the tempo, right? If you hold down this knob, you see it says intro on. Just turn it. Intro off.
There's your answer.
That's it.
Awesome.
And that's it. You're off. And you can turn that intro on and off. What you cannot do on the Mini is turn the outro on and off. The outro will continue to will play. You can't on the BeatBuddy. You could do that. You could turn the outro off. You could turn the intro off. You have many options on the BeatBuddy as far as customizing how to play. Especially like with all the external foot switch, you can customize all those functions on the BeatBuddy.
I would say my advice, if you're going to buy a BeatBuddy, is to get the regular one. There's so many extra things. You could even customize on the down press, on the release. You can attach the foot switch. The MIDI is a huge thing, of course. I would say, especially with the MIDI Maestro, taking shape, I would definitely recommend the full one if you can get it. Jack said he's cheap, that's why he got that. I wasn't saying that, Jack. That's your. I wasn't implying that.
Well, that is exactly why we made the Mini, for all the cheap guys out there. Like we wanted to make something that you guys could afford. So. You get what you pay for. It's a great product. I'm not dissing the Mini. The Mini is a fantastic product, and it works really well for the price point. The BeatBuddy does cost twice as much, but I think you get a lot more than twice the product, in my opinion. I think you get a much fuller professional level product with the BeatBuddy. So it all depends on what's important to you. If you just want something super simple and inexpensive, the Mini's great. If you want the best of the best, then you get the BeatBuddy.
Yeah.
So it's everyone's got their own.
I'm just thinking as a solo performer, which Jack is as well. He does the solo gigs too. I just think there'll come a point very soon where it's something you want to do, and you'll want that functionality. That's where I'm coming from, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, if you're actually performing in front of a crowd, I would strongly recommend getting the regular BeatBuddy, if just for the sound quality, because you want to sound as good as possible. And the Mini sounds good, but the BeatBuddy sounds better. So if you want to sound really, really good, you want to get the regular BeatBuddy, and it gives you a whole bunch of more capabilities that you don't have with the Mini, like creating song lists. That's huge for a solo musician. You don't with the Mini. If you use different beats for different songs, you have to bend down, fiddle with it. Go find the beat. With the regular BeatBuddy, you could create your own set list, and so you have everything in one folder, and you could just go from one song to the next. You don't have to look for that beat. It just makes things a lot easier and a lot smoother when you're performing.
He said he likes simple, and I agree. I do too, but sometimes the extra features can make it more simple, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's true.
We'll wrap up soon, but Jared did say something. We talked in depth about the firmware for everything, but not really. I said that the Eros, the latest firmware about to release, is awesome. I'm really enjoying it. It's filled in a lot of gaps to me. But can we just talk about Jared Smythe said, who you know, he said...
yes, of course. Hi, Jared.
Did we ask for the timeline? No, we didn't really talk about this. Is there a timeline for MIDI implementation on the Eros? And I was going to ask you about any other ideas you have for the Eros as a looper as well. Can we just talk about that to finish up?
Sure. So I know everyone's waiting for the MIDI implementation on the Eros. That's a big one. And, it's kind of embarrassing for us, to be completely honest, that it's not there, because we have a Eros mode built into the MIDI Maestro. So the MIDI Maestro is ready to go to give the Eros a whole bunch of new capabilities. We just need to update the Eros firmware in order to enable that. So there were some things that were super crucial that we had to work on first, which we released in this new firmware, which is currently in beta. Hopefully, we'll be moving out of beta within the next few days. But the MIDI implementation is going to come. We're still deciding whether or not to do locked tracks before MIDI implementation, or MIDI implementation first. So the feature lock tracks, in case anyone doesn't know, is when you're able to lock a track out of other song parts. So this is very useful for people who do looping, because the Eros gives you multiple song parts, right? So you're able to do like a verse, a chorus, a bridge, just like with the BeatBuddy. You're able to do that with the Eros, and each of these parts has up to 6 parallel tracks. But what some people like to do is they'll like to make the beat themselves by tapping their guitar, to lay down a rhythm track, and they want that one track to continue going throughout the whole song, even if they change song parts. So to do that, you need to lock the track so the tracks don't change when you change the song part. So that's the next major feature we're going to be working on. So it's either going to be that one or MIDI implementation, and we're currently still not 100% sure which one we're going to do first. But they're at the top of the list. Lock tracks and MIDI implementation is really at the top of the list that we are moving into developing now. So a timeline, I wish I could give a timeline. I mean, honestly, I've always been wrong in all my timelines. And that's why I hate giving timelines, because I'll say something and I honestly believe it's true. I really do. I'll be like, okay, I think that they could do it at this and this. I'm just like telling you guys what my engineers tell me, and they believe it's true too. But they're never right. Very rarely they're wrong in the opposite direction, where things go faster than they expect. But I would say 90% of the time it's the other way, where things take longer than they think it will take. So if I had to guess, I would say MIDI implementation in a month, But of course, I'm going to regret saying that because I have regretted every timeline I've ever given. So I honestly do believe we could get it done in a month, but that's assuming that everything goes right and we don't discover a whole bunch of new bugs and nothing ever goes right. So, all I could say is it's at the top of our development list, and we are going to be working on it to get it done as quickly as possible, because as I said, frankly, it's embarrassing that it's not done yet, and we need to have it done in order for it to work with the MIDI Maestro properly, and so we are committed to it. We have to. We've committed publicly to doing it, so we're going to do it, and hopefully within the next month.
This is why a lot of companies don't announce these things, but for that very reason. But I do appreciate your transparency and openness as well. I think that's a positive thing as well, personally. So I'm glad to hear you're working on this stuff.
Well, thank you.
So right now, if you have the MIDI Maestro, can it control the Aero slot right now or not?
No.
Okay, so it's waiting for that.
So the MIDI Maestro. Yeah. The MIDI Maestro controls the BeatBuddy very well. It's got a BeatBuddy mode. It's fully functional. All the things I showed you earlier as far as BeatBuddy controls work. The Aeros controls do not work. Not anything wrong with the MIDI Maestro. It's the functionality hasn't been built into the Aeros, and that is what we are doing now. We're hopefully going to have it done within the next month. Hopefully. That's all I could say.
And then as soon as the app releases, we will be able to program other devices ourselves, right?
Well, the app is out already. The app is out on Android. I should say. It's out on Android. If you have an Android phone, you could program the MIDI Maestro to work with any device that works with MIDI CC codes. Actually, the latest, we added additional capabilities into the app to work with program change codes and MIDI notes, and we're going to be adding sysx commands too. So it should be able to do pretty much any type of MIDI command very, very soon. And with Android, you could already program the vast majority of that in already. Hopefully, we'll have the iOS app out, relatively soon too.
So I've got a bunch more questions, but I don't want to take up too much of your time. And also, I don't want to make this too confusing either, because there are a lot of questions for different people. I will say to them, if they've got a specific question they really need answering, they should reach out to you guys, because you seem very open to discuss that. And what I will say is, it seems to me that the BeatBuddy is awesome with this firmware that I've just got on beta on my looper. It's awesome. It sounds to me like the MIDI Maestro right now is for the BeatBuddy, so bear that in mind. But as soon as the iOS editor comes out, it sounds like it'll be unlock a load of potential, and you're working on that update. So just be aware of that if you purchase right now. But it sounds to me like the future is very exciting. With when these all come together, it's going to be a very powerful rig, and that's really exciting. Yeah. So that's
that was what our intention was all along, was that they all enhance each other. All of our products enhance each other, but that they're all strong enough to stand on their own as well. So you don't need to have a BeatBuddy to use the Eros. You don't need to use you don't need a MIDI Maestro to use to use a BeatBuddy. You could use each one individually, but they all enhance each other, and that's been our design philosophy since the beginning.
Like a transformer. Remember that cartoon?
Yeah, exactly.
And having said that, have you what's the plan for your company for the future? Are you planning on making more products, or what does the future look like?
The level that they should be first, and then once we're satisfied that they have reached their full potential, we're going to be working on new products. We do have quite a few other products in the pipeline that we're working on, and thinking about designing at various stages of all those steps for different products. So make sure you're on our mailing list, singularsound.com, sign up, and you'll be informed of all of our awesome new products as we come out with them.
So Alex got great questions. I'll put these links in the description, Alex, so you can go on there and ask them yourself, because you've got some great questions. And it's interesting, because we had a chat last week where I was talking about modular systems, and it's kind of come full circle, which is nice to know. What we got? Is it Eli? Is Eli your brother?
Yes,
Eli
he
and
is,
David are a true bootstraps company. Congrats, gents. There we go. Yeah, it's easy. It's easy.
You.
I know it's easy for customer. If a customer buys something, it's easy for us to say we want this and that and this. But I really think I want to say thank you for making products for musicians like me and the people in the chat. Thank you for your hard work, and I'm really excited to see where it goes. So, and thank you for your time today. It's been great hanging out again, and.
Likewise.
I'll put all the comments in the description. Stick around. I'll say goodbye once I've ended the stream. Everyone watching, thank you for joining me. I'll see you again soon. If you haven't already, please subscribe and ring the notification bell. And I'll put all the links in the description later on, so you can read up about the products in your own time. So everyone, be well. Thank you. Stay safe, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.